All right.
Hey, hello everyone. Thank you for joining me for another episode of the Community Fathers video series. And just before we get started and before I introduce my special guest, I do want to tell you what the video series is about. The video series is um, in every community, there are men, often quiet, often unseen, who carry wisdom, discipline, and purpose. And these are the men whose life have the power to light the way for those feeling lost, disconnected, and discouraged. Through the Community Fathers video series, we're sitting down with these everyday leaders to uncover their habits, their mindsets, their strategies, and just to learn about their lives and how they got where they were. We want to know what helped them lead their families and serve their communities with strength and conviction. I'm your host, Michael Hodges, the community father, and our mission is simple: is to share real conversations that restore direction, purpose, and strength to men, helping them rise into their rightful role as fathers, mentors, and builders of strong community. This is more than a video series, it's a movement. And let's get into it. And today I'm very excited because we're not just having a conversation, we're actually going to be covering the life story of a man who I consider to be the original community father in the Antelope Valley. Now, I know there were a lot of great men before him, but I got here in the late 80s and early 90s. And when I arrived in Antelope Valley, Bishop Henry Hearns was a man of prominence. He was already a man of importance, and I could tell that he had influence on the community. And so today we're going to get into his story, and I've also been given the honor and the privilege of covering his book, which is How Odds Even Through Grace. And but before we get into that, Bishop has asked to lead us in prayer, which I think is very appropriate for what we're about to do. So, Bishop, you can introduce yourself and then start us in prayer, sir.
Bless you. And thank you so much for the opportunity to be with you and for you all taking the time to hear my story. I love telling my story because it's so wrapped around how the Lord has led me. With that, let's pray. Father, thank you so much for the opportunity to be here with Michael today and to share the story of you and me.
Mm.
And I could not be where I am today, Lord, had it not been for your goodness and your kindness to bring me all the way from 92 years ago in Mississippi when it was time when it was dangerous to be black. And I thank you for it. Thank you for this opportunity and give me wisdom and knowledge and understanding how to answer the question that might help somebody to see a better road to get to another place. In Jesus' name,
In
amen.
Jesus' name, amen. Thank you for that, Bishop. And so, before we jump into your book and your story, I just want to share some of the principles that the Community Fathers video series stand on. We believe in a solution-oriented mindset. In other words, we don't blame others for the issues in our community. We
You
reframe problems in our communities as an opportunity for growth. We take responsibility for the change in our community. We ask forward thinking, constructive questions. We stay grounded in faith and optimism, which I think your life is a perfect example of that. And we stay committed to growth and in knowledge, habits, and mindset. The second pillar is the strength of brotherhood, the strength of community. I believe, Bishop, that in the AV, we have everything we need. So our stories remind us that no one builds alone. We thrive by connecting, encouraging, and learning from each other. And in each episode, men model how brotherhood works. We do this through sharing life-giving habits and hard-won strategies. We support each other with time, presence, and actions. We show up, step in, and do the work together. And one of the most important parts is we're vulnerable. We share openly about our life's challenges and failures to strengthen trust. And the last pillar is mentorship. Leading by example, uplifting with truth, and walking the journey together. We believe every man has something to teach and something to learn. So, mentoring in the Community Fathers series is not about perfection, it's about presence. We do this through speaking truth with compassion, offering guidance without judgment, and living out what we share side by side. So, I just wanted to share that, Bishop. So,
Okay.
to your story, did you want to add anything? Or-
No, no, I'm on. I just maybe would like to add the fact that um, I, there are some words I don't know what you're going to ask me, but if it gets into some of the areas where I was involved in some problem with between blacks and whites, I use the exact language, and is that all right to do that?
Yes, yes. Yeah,
Okay.
I think your story is going to be a perfect example of how we're supposed to deal with adversity.
Okay. All right.
So I'm looking forward to getting right into it. So let's go ahead and start. I want to first share with the audience the book and the cover of the book. So let me see
Okay.
if I can find what I'm looking for here.
There's a little.
I'm still not the most technology sound guy there is, but I'm coming along. You know. So let's see.
Your hand over there.
All right, here we go. Sharing the book cover with the audience, and here it is. So there's the book cover, How
Yeah.
Odds Even Through Grace by none other than Henry Hearns. And as my audience, as you guys are listening to this story, for those of you who know Bishop Hearns, please feel free to share this with others because I know my reach only goes so far. But I think if all of us are sharing what we hear here today with someone else, that just makes it go even further. So I just want to encourage you to share this video with as many people as you can. So Bishop, we're going to start with your story. And first of all, you're 92 years of age. I don't think that's something we should just wink at. 92. And the core theme from what I've gotten out of your book is grace overcomes generational hardship and systemic barriers. And so the first thing I want to talk about is your maternal lineage. Can you speak a little bit about Andrew Carruthers and who he was?
I certainly can.
Okay.
Andrew Carruthers um, was my great great grandfather. His great, I don't know if it's three or two. I think it's two. Great grandfather. Uh, he was born back in the 1830s. In fact, when he died at 112 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And he was sold up twice. He was sold twice
Uh-huh.
on the slave market. And the very first time he was sold with his mother. And at that time, he was probably about 6, he told us.
Uh-huh.
And he held on to his mother's dress so that he would hope that he would be sold with his mother.
Uh-huh.
So he tore off a piece of her dress when they pulled her off the stage and sold him to another slave buyer. And so Grandpa told us the story of how things were transferred from one black person to another, how he was beaten, and all of that, and how he was sold twice, and he still loved uh, sharing the Word of God, even though
Uh-huh.
he didn't read that well, but he shared the Word of God from where he stood and how the Lord brought him through that.
So this was on your mother's side, right?
That was on my mother's side.
Okay. And so just to clear it up, he was your great grandfather. And you said your grandfather used to tell you about him. So which grandfather would that have been on your mother's side? Was that
Now, if he's my great, did I get it all balled up? How you do that, Ed?
what?
Uh,
Oh,
he was my great.
take your time. You lived with him for a while too.
Yes, he lived with us from the time we were. I guess I would have been probably about 10 or 12
Uh-huh.
until I was 15.
Okay.
Until I was 15. And now, Grandpa, let's see, there was Grandpa, let's see, there's Mama, and
Hmm.
then her father. I knew her father as well. His
Okay.
name was Elder Garman.
Okay.
And then he, uh, Carruthers was not his. Okay, I think Angie just hit up on it here. He was my grandmother's father's
Okay.
granddaddy.
Oh, okay. And he was sold twice.
My mother. Okay, see, there's Grandpa.
Uh-huh.
My grandpa was a very good-looking brother, and he uh, he had two or three sets of children. Is
Hmm.
is what he and even though he was a minister, so my mother's mother,
Hmm.
father, I think
Okay.
that's right. Yeah,
All right.
my mother's father.
So yeah,
Yeah,
so that would make him your great grandfather.
yeah,
Okay.
great great grandfather.
Okay. Okay. And you said that he had much wisdom and insight.
Oh,
Can you
he did.
can you share just one tidbit about the wisdom that he shared with you?
Yes, I can. Yes, I can. Uh, one of the things that Grandpa told us always, always, he said, never forget where you come from.
Hmm.
Never forget people who helped you. And some of them are not black, who also helped us to get us as black to get. So you can't hate all of any race.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
You take it upon yourself to love everyone that you meet if they allow you to. And
Yes.
even if they don't allow you to, it don't keep you from loving them anyway.
Yes.
So that was one of the nuggets that he shared with us. And then the other thing that he always kept before us was his relationship with the Lord Jesus Christ.
Mm.
And even when he was too old to even get around to go to church, he would wait out when we go to church and we would hear the preacher preach. As soon as we get back, we know that Grandpa wanted to hear what the preacher preached about. And he
Okay.
could remember those scriptures and things that he had learned from other preachers. But I think the main thing he taught that I enjoyed with him is to never hate anyone. He would say
Mhm.
it costs you too much. It eats you up more than it eats them up because
Yeah.
they don't. Some of them don't even know you hate them.
Right.
So love them anyway.
Yes. So life
And that
is too short to have that type of energy that
that is
you're
correct.
dating. And
To
so
waste it up.
yes, and you know this, and he had this type of energy. He had this type of wisdom, despite the fact that he was separated from his mother at a young age during the slave trade.
Yes.
I didn't want to brush over that fact that him and his mom were on the slave auction block together,
When
and
he
they
was
were
about 6.
sold to two different families.
That is correct.
And he tore a piece of her dress and kept it as a momentum.
He kept it for till he was way old in his life
Uh-huh.
to hoping that he would see his mama again, but he never got a chance
Wow.
ever to see her again.
Okay.
And he never did really know his father.
Okay. So,
And he but he kept in his heart
uh-huh.
that no matter how it went, if he didn't see his mama again, that somehow or the other he was going to make it through,
Okay.
and he
So,
did.
so let's go over to your paternal side. The first person that comes up is Lump Hearn.
Okay,
So tell us a little bit about Lump.
all right. Let's see if I can put that together in my head here. Okay, first of all, here is there's my daddy, and then his daddy's name was Percy,
Okay.
and then his daddy was Lump.
Lump. So great. This is your great grandfather on your father's side. Okay.
Yes, yes,
Light skin.
light
Uh,
skin,
mm-hmm.
and you couldn't. And my dad, my grandpa, you
Uh-huh.
couldn't tell him from a white man to save your life. Blue eyes, blonde hair, and just he was just he was my daughter Angie and him said he was white. He just
Uh-huh.
wanted to marry a black woman.
I see. So,
But
but
he,
your great grandfather got something. What something was given to him.
oh yeah. Well,
Well,
I want to tell you that. That's where I wanted to go with that. He, his slave owners
hmm
really cared for him and gave him 300 acres of land. 300, not
yeah.
3 acres, but 300 acres of land. And I don't, uh, and I remember, let's see, now I remember my grandfather was a general, and then I remember Grandpa Lump, who used
Uh-huh.
to go to the local Methodist church called Nickel Chapel,
Uh-huh.
and he would walk us to church and would tell us how he was handled as a young man and how these white people kept him and he grew up with them and he served them so well till they gave him 300 acres of land and told him he could go on his own and be a free man.
Mm. Okay.
And he passed that along to my grandpa, who was Percy, who was my daddy's daddy. He
Uh-huh.
passed that 300 acres on to them.
Uh-huh.
And far as I can remember, uh, even a few years back, there were some of the grandkids still arguing and fighting over the land, but my daddy didn't. He bought his own and went on
Okay.
ahead.
Okay.
So
So
Grandpa Lump
uh-huh.
was the receiver of the 300,
Okay.
passed it on to my great grandpa, and he kept it and uh, shared part of it with some of his kids.
Uh-huh.
But my daddy, somehow or the other, they didn't get along that well, and he didn't
Uh-huh.
get any.
Okay, that explains a lot because you know the entire time I was reading about your childhood, I kept thinking about that 300 acres of farmland, excuse me. But you know, going back to your great grandfather, Lump Hearn, he was light skinned, and so what was thought about that? Him being light skinned.
Well, now, let me see how to say this. Grandpa, who is Percy,
Uh-huh.
my daddy's daddy,
Uh-huh.
was the one that was really, really a white dude.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, getting back to Lump. Now, Lump was the had by a black woman.
Uh-huh.
So he was darker. Grandpa Lump was a little bit darker
Uh-huh.
than my grandfather, Percy. Now,
Okay.
Percy, and we never heard much about Lump because you could tell that there was some black in him.
Okay.
He was very light, but you could tell there was black in him.
Mm-hmm.
His hair was a little different. His color was a little bit different. But my granddaddy,
Mm-hmm.
Percy, you could not tell because he had very straight hair
Uh-huh.
and a blondish and all of that.
So
So
tell us about his
when he would
experiences on the
ride,
train.
oh, okay, I can tell you about that.
Mm-hmm.
Grandpa Percy, they lived in a little in Bahia where I was born,
Uh-huh.
and if he would get on the train in Bahia to
Uh-huh.
ride to Memphis, which would be about 25 or 30 miles, he would go and sit in the black side where the black people would sit in the back on the train. And the conductors would come and get him and tell him, "You're in the wrong place." He
Uh-huh.
says, "No, I'm in the right place." He said, "You're not in the right place. You got to get up and move to the front where the rest of the white folks are."
Mm-hmm.
And they would move him away from where the black people were, and he would have to go ride up front with the white people all the way to Memphis.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And many, many things that he did in Bahia because the people just took him for white.
Ah, okay.
And I don't know if you know what a gin house is. A
Uh-uh.
gin house is where you took your cotton, you pick a bale of cotton, and then the kind of cotton we grew, about 1,400 pounds of raw cotton would
Uh-huh.
come out to about a 500-pound bale of cotton after they take the seeds out.
Mm-hmm.
So you take the cotton to the gin house and have the cotton gin, take the seeds out, and Grandpa became the ginner, and he ran the gin uh, for I guess 60 or 70 years
Wow.
till he was just too old to do anything, and then they had started using other kind of equipment to do ginning of cotton.
Okay. So speaking of Byhalia, Mississippi, this is the place where you were born.
Yes,
And in 1933, uh,
1933.
April 23rd, am I
That
correct?
is correct. That is
Uh,
correct.
you were born on the plantation, the McCrary plantation. Can you
That
tell us
is
a little
correct.
bit about them?
I can do that. I can do that. Uh, the McCrary plantation is the same one where, let's see, uh, Ada D,
Eh,
Ada D.
uh-huh.
McCrary
And Thomas Ingram.
and Thomas Ingram.
Mhm.
And when Mama and Daddy first got tangled together there, they really, uh, some things happened that weren't supposed to happen before they did happen. I don't
Mhm.
know how that came out. But anyway, uh, Daddy and Mama got together and finally they did get married. And Mama at the time was living on the McCrary plantation,
Hmm.
which was a very small plantation, I think about 75 acres. And
Uh-huh.
Mama was her cook. She
Okay.
cooked for Mrs. McCrary. And
Uh-huh.
while she cooked for Mrs. McCrary uh, really cared for Mom, not just because she could cook well, but
Uh-huh.
because she loved my mama and she was a believer. She loved the Lord Jesus. And she
Uh-huh.
said, Bertha, I want you to be careful. You are getting mighty big. Mama
Uh-huh.
was, I think, 33 years old when I
Uh-huh.
was born. But Mama also was an itty bitty woman, about
Uh-huh.
130 pounds. And
Uh-huh.
so Mrs. McCrary kept an eye on Mama and said, Now, Bertha, you got to be careful.
Hmm.
When if you don't watch yourself, the baby's gonna be too big and you could end up being dead, or the baby
Hmm.
could have end up
Yeah.
being cut up and taken out.
Yeah. And that
But
baby was
anyway, long
you.
story made short,
Uh-huh.
Mama kept growing and little Henry kept growing inside.
Uh-huh.
So finally, April the 23rd, when it was time for me to be born, Mrs.
Uh-huh.
McCrary had her doctor, Dr. Sinners, to be the doctor who cared for Mom, not a midwife, but
Uh-huh.
a real doctor. And when he got to trying to have me be born, he saw that he couldn't do it. And he says, I'm going to have to cut this baby up
Uh-huh.
and take it out. Otherwise, you're not going to make it. And so Mama was crying. Of course, she didn't want to lose a baby. And
Right.
the Lord would have it. A second doctor, white doctor, came
Hmm.
in. His name was Dr. Moore.
Yeah.
Dr. Moore, and I put that in the book, Dr.
Uh-huh.
Moore also uh, began to say to Dr. Center, I need you to help me with another case. He said, as soon as I cut up this baby and take it from his mother, I'll be ready. And so he looked at Mom and he looked at Dr. Center and said, can I try this?
Uh-huh.
And I was born. 14 pounds and I think 13 ounces or something like that,
Yeah.
close to
13
15
pounds.
pounds.
13 pounds, 14 ounces.
Yeah.
So
And
I kind of
now,
can I
go
back
ahead.
just a little bit?
Sure.
Let's go ahead and talk about Birdie or Bertha, your mother. Okay. She was a very petite woman. And before she met your father, she was married to someone else, right?
He was married to a guy by the name of Wyatt Harris,
Uh-huh.
and that's really how we got onto the McCrary plantation because
I see. Uh-huh.
the two of them was married. So I
Hmm.
guess I tried to get around that a little bit, but it's really the way it was.
Uh-huh.
It's really the way it was. And but he could not father children. He was what do you call it? Sterile.
Sterile. Okay.
Yes. And that uh, was a big deal. But he cared for us as if we were his own. After we got here, there was no thing about it. But Mama knew that she needed to be with the real fathers
Uh-huh.
uh, of her children,
Uh-huh.
and that's what she did. And that's when we moved from the Anger McCrary plantation to the second plantation, which was Dr. McCauley.
Hmm. And so your father name was Ernest Hearn,
Ernest Hearns, yes,
who was also called Red, right?
who was who was also called Red. Yeah,
Okay.
he. Go ahead.
No, no. I mean, you want to tell me something about Ernest?
Yes, Red was one of 16, I believe.
Mm,
I think his mother, Percy, the white one, and my grandmother Fleet had 16 kids, 9 boys and 7 girls,
hmm.
and when 9 boys and 7 girls, and my daddy couldn't get along with the rest of the family. he just was an oddball at
Mm,
that time. So
okay.
he left home when he was about 12 or 14 years old and started to drive in the car for the Dr. McCauley in Bahia, Mississippi. So
Mm,
that's when he moved out from from and then later on he met my mama. And then
mm,
that's when we they got pregnant with me. And
mm,
then four others came. And Daddy Red brought us after mom and my daddy, my stepdaddy separated and brought
mm.
us to Dr. McCauley's plantation.
Okay. Before we go to Macaulay's plantation, just to kind of review how you were born, because it wasn't anything short of a miracle.
It
So
was not anything
the
short of a miracle.
so Miss McQuarrie loved your mother. Your
Oh,
mother
she
was a good
loved my
cook,
mother.
and when your mother was pregnant with you, and she was getting bigger, Ada D said to her, "I love your cooking, but I love you more." But
Yeah,
there was things about segregation that forced Black mothers to give birth at home.
that is
But
correct.
Mrs. McQuarrie refused to bring in a midwife and brought in her personal physician.
That is correct.
Okay. And and then that led to the miracle that took place
That is correct.
because Dr. Center, as he was called in your book, was had decided that you were not going to make it in order for your mother to live.
And he told my mama, he said, listen, Bertha, I
Uh-huh.
know you don't want this, but if you try to have this baby, both of you could end up dead.
Ah,
Both of you.
okay.
And so, in order to save you, is why I want to cut the baby up and take it from you. At least you can live and you get a chance at having another baby. So he
Yes.
talked to her in that way. But
Yeah.
then when Dr. Moore came in, he told Dr. Center, give me a chance. And when he did, I was born. So I said, Dr. Center was the killer, and Dr. Moore was the one who gave more
The life,
life.
the life giver. Okay.
He was the life giver.
Yes. So now your father, Ernest Hearn, was a driver for Dr. Macaulay. Tell us a
That
little
is correct.
tell us a little bit about Macaulay, Dr. Macaulay.
Well, Dr. McCauley didn't care any more about black people than what he could have them to do cook, take care of his kitchen, take care of his
Mm-hmm.
grandkids, clean his yard, clean up his toilets, and drive him around. And that's all he cared about
Mm-hmm.
the black people. But he had about, I think he had something like 12 or 1500 acres of
Uh-huh.
land and had a lot of black people living all over the property. Now, you probably saw in the book the little hut that I lived in.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
I think you saw that.
Was that on the front cover, inside the
It
front
was
cover?
on the, it was on the inside. So if you turn to the back of the book,
Uh-huh.
and if you turn
I,
to the back page of the cover,
I think I might have a picture. I can share it. Let me share that with the audience.
yeah.
Let me
So
go ahead.
did you see that? Did you get it?
I'm pulling it up now. Oh, you have, yeah, there it is. I was going to show up. Let me share a picture of that. Okay, let me move. Oh, you know what? I don't have that HUD. I didn't download that picture. I will
Did
make sure
not download that picture.
yeah, I'll make sure I have it downloaded for the next. Go ahead and show that picture one more time on the screen.
I can do that.
Okay, yes. And boy, you spoke about that house in a certain way in the book that made me feel like that house could have just fell down at any moment.
It could,
Hmm.
because actually all it had was, if you look up in the top of your ceiling, like we have ceilings in the house now, it did
Uh-huh.
not have that. It just had these rafters and a tin roof, sheets of tin on there. And when it rained, you could hear a noise like you can't believe. And the rain was every little hole in there. We
Uh-huh.
put throughout the house to catch the rain to keep it from raining on the beds and on the floor.
Okay.
So that's all there was to that little shed. And it was what you call a shotgun out, where you
Uh-huh.
walk through the front door into the next little room and then on into the kitchen and out on in the backyard from
Uh-huh.
there. So it was not much. And that they had those little huts
Mm-hmm.
all over the property where black people live.
Yes.
Now, now Macaulay, he was on what they called a draft board.
Oh, okay.
So that was during the World War II.
Yes. Bishop, before you talk about that, can I can you explain why your father missed your birth?
Well, uh, actually,
It was along the lines of Mr. Macaulay, because of his attitude.
it was his attitude. He didn't want any connections. However, on the other hand,
Uh-huh.
didn't allow he just didn't allow certain things to be. But
Okay.
at the same time, instead of him being where my mother was, he had him driving him wherever he wanted him to go.
Okay.
And he knew when the birth about when the birth was going to take place.
Uh-huh.
And my dad had told him about it, but he said, Red, you're driving for me.
Yes.
You don't have time to go do that.
Yes.
So
So,
he kept
yeah. So he didn't think that the birth of Ernest's firstborn son warranted any time off of work.
no, no,
And so
not at all.
Ernest, and because of the scarcity of secure employment for blacks back then, Ernest felt like he had no option but to go to
He
work.
had no option but to keep the best job he could get and bring my mama and us to the plantation where he was driving for Dr. McCauley.
Yeah. And on the
And
other
then
hand, there was a total opposite reaction on the McCrary plantation regarding your birth.
totally 100%, 180 degrees out of phase.
Uh-huh. Yes.
But
Uh-huh.
my daddy wanted us with him. And so the doctor gave us that little hut and we could go out and live in that little hut. And then as soon as daddy and mama got together and my daddy began to listen to mama and
Uh-huh.
mama began to talk about, uh, uh, let's save our little nickels and
Mm-hmm.
see what we can do about someday getting our own property.
Okay.
And when that started happening, he had my daddy put in World War II.
Mm.
And so when daddy went to World War II, he kicked us off the property.
Wow.
So
Mm-hmm.
we were homeless. And that's when we changed uh, because we couldn't raise no cotton. I was, I think, about 6, 7, or 8. And
Mm-hmm.
the rest of the other 4 siblings were way beyond younger than me.
Mm-hmm.
So we couldn't do that much raising cotton. And so that's all he wanted was what we could
Mm-hmm.
produce. So when daddy left, kicked us off the property, and mama had to go looking somewhere else. I don't
Okay.
know if you want me to tell that.
Not just yet. I did want to ask you
Okay.
about your mother's faith. T- What was it about your mother's faith that caused your daddy to convert and to be transformed?
Well, daddy, daddy was, I think, to be truthful about it, uh, and as I think back through it many times,
Uh-huh.
daddy was crazy about that little woman, 130 pounds with
Uh-huh.
straight hair, and she was a pretty woman. Lord have mercy. I don't know
Uh-huh.
why I didn't put her picture in the book, but she
Uh-huh.
was some kind of pretty uh, doc. She looked like an Indian squaw,
Mm-hmm.
and so he was crazy about mom. So when mama started talking to him about how a husband, what a husband looked like, what
Uh-huh.
a father looked like, and how a father ought to act, and that he should go to church, he would. Of course, his mama, my daddy's mama,
Uh-huh.
was a great believer too, but she couldn't
Uh-huh.
do very much with my daddy because he didn't listen.
Uh-huh.
But mama kept talking to him, and when I was 12 years old, I think I was 12 years old, is when I went to the mourners bench, and so did my daddy. And when he got saved, he rode. He had a red horse.
Uh-huh.
He rode that horse everywhere,
Mm.
telling everybody, I got it, I got it. The Lord done saved me. The
Wow.
Lord done saved me. And then he'd jump on his horse and
Uh,
ride to the next house and
uh-huh.
to the next house. And he told everybody about how the Lord had saved him and what his wife did to help him to know the Lord Jesus. And
Uh-huh.
he never will turn back on his wife. He never
Uh-huh.
will turn back on his children. And how glad he was to know the Lord.
What
So
kind of man was he before he got saved?
I, I think before he really got saved, he was kind of a little, he attended to the lady
Okay.
till he met mama. But
Uh-huh.
when he met mama and they got pregnant with me, I, I cannot, when I got big enough to know what was going on,
Uh-huh.
uh, he was a good father.
Yeah,
Brought,
yeah.
and uh, I think when we still lived just before he got kicked off to go to the army, we lived on Dr. McCauley's little little shack,
Uh-huh.
but down behind the white people cemetery.
Uh-huh.
So my daddy would bring a sack of flour or whatever on his shoulder and
Uh-huh.
bring food home to the house. And one night we came by just to show you what kind of guy he was toward his
Uh-huh.
kids. He came by the cemetery and he said, Henry. I said, sir, do you hear anything? I said, no, sir. I don't hear nothing.
Mhm.
He walked, oh, 8 or 10 steps more. Henry, you didn't hear that? I said, no, sir, I didn't hear nothing. And I began to draw over close to him
Uh-huh.
because it was right near the white folks cemetery. And he
Uh-huh.
kept looking toward the cemetery. And after a while, he took off running.
Uh-huh.
And I took off running behind him, ran and grabbed him, about to throw him to the ground because I
Uh-huh.
grabbed him, scared to death about the haints that they had already told us about. And there was also the haints that my great granddaddy, great granddaddy used to tell us about it, hants and all of that, which is
Uh-huh.
a ghost. But
Mm.
daddy was
A
really,
prankster.
he's a prankster.
Uh-huh.
He's a prankster. But he
So,
had fun with
uh-huh.
it, and we had fun with him.
That's great to hear, you know. So you had farm animals on the Macaulay plantation?
We had we had they had what they call a pasture, and the
Uh-huh.
pasture was down about half a mile from my house, and we we'd have cattle, not a lot of them. We had
Uh-huh.
maybe 3 or 4 milk cows, and then they would have little baby calves, and we raised hogs that we killed for our pork and all that.
You know,
So
one of my favorite lines in the book so far is a black boy and his pet hog for a Rockwell painting. Can you tell us about that?
yeah, I sure can. Uh, we back I enjoyed uh, when the cows would have baby calves. Uh, the cows knew me somehow, and I could play with their baby calves. But if anybody else tried to play with them, they'd butt you out, run you
Hmm.
out of that pasture, out or whatever. Now, when the baby hogs would have their baby pig, I could play with them too. So one of them, I just kind of petted that hog and kept petting him and rubbing on him and feeding him whatever I could feed him until he got to be to follow me around. And we didn't even have to put him in the little pen where the
Uh-huh.
rest of the hogs were. So he just followed me around wherever I went. He'd go.
Uh-huh.
And when it's lunchtime and time to lay down and take a little nap before we go back to field of work again, uh, old pet hog would lay down out there under the tree, and I just lay back on the hog and go on to sleep a little bit, then back
Uh-huh.
up, and the hog go on and do what he does. And he just stayed a pet hog for me
Man.
all the time.
Wow, that created such a visual when I read that. But your mother used to make clothes out of the animal feed cloth sacks.
Well, when we would get ready to plant the cotton,
Uh-huh.
I can never forget the title of the fertilizer that we used. It was known as VC
Uh-huh.
Fertilizer Factory.
Uh-huh.
VC Fertilizer Factory. And Mama would, when we take the fertilizer out, Mama would take the sacks, which were made out of some kind of a some kind of fabric,
Uh-huh.
and take some lye soap and boil those uh, feed sacks and
Hmm.
those fertilizer sacks until they got all the color out of them.
Mm.
And then she would cut them up and make clothes out of them, shirts. And there's a picture of me in one of them.
I'm getting ready to share it right now.
That's it. That's
Yeah.
it right there.
Uh-huh. It,
Mama made those.
okay.
Mama made those out of those feed clothes. And
Uh-huh.
the bottom part of my breeches were made out of them uh, another kind of sack, and she'd
Hmm.
leave the colors in there
Uh-huh.
and boil the other one, make it white. So I'd have myself a little kind of an outfit.
Yeah, yeah, yes, sir. Wow.
So Mama used everything
Uh-huh.
to its fullest extent.
Gotcha. Yes, sir.
We ate
So,
the pork. We
uh-huh.
ate uh, we uh, we never killed. Funny enough, we never did kill the uh, the cows. We'd sell them, and that's where Mom and them would get their little monies from, is selling the cows as they grew up.
Uh-huh.
And I
So,
would take the cows. Yes, go
uh-huh.
ahead.
Yeah. Go ahead. Tell me what you did with the
I was
cows.
just going to take the cows every morning when I get through milking and take them to the pasture. And
Mm.
Highway 78 coming out of Memphis went right through our little farm area all the way into uh, Alabama.
Uh-huh.
And so when Highway 78 comes through, I go up on the highway, stand up in the highway and look and make sure everything was clear, no cars coming from either direction, and I holler. And all my cows knew to run. And they'd run
Uh-huh.
across that highway and then go into the pasture. And then that evening, I'd come to the pasture, pick them up, take them back to the house where we could milk them again, and then the
Hmm.
next morning take them back to the pasture again. So all that had to be done before you go to school, if you
Wow.
went to school.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Oh, okay. Tell us about the tap stick that you used to catch rabbits with. And and before you even begin, I want to show you what I went outside and did because I was trying to get as close to what I thought it might be. So I went and I actually I don't know if you can see in this picture, but it's like
I do. I do.
it's the handle. It's actually the handle to a sledgehammer that I have. So I'm
About that.
imagining that
How
it was
about that?
a round piece of wood, and then you said you would put something on the top, a bolt.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
I found, and the boys, all the boys in our area knew
Uh-huh.
about that. And I'd cut that stick to where it'd be about 12, maybe 14 inches, enough so that I could sling it.
Uh-huh.
And
So
when
is this too thin? Is this too thin, or was it about this size?
I, that, that's thick enough as long as it's a strong stick.
Okay. Okay.
And then I found a bolt that came off of something at the gin house where my
Uh-huh.
daddy took the cotton to be gin.
Uh-huh.
And that bolt must have weighed, I guess, I'd say a quarter of a pound. You'd have to have it where it's heavier than the stick, so that
I
when you
see.
throw it, that bolt would be the front runner,
Uh-huh.
and you could guide that if you knew how. And if a rabbit take off, if you watch him run, he'll
Uh-huh.
run straight as long as he's in the open.
Uh-huh.
But if he see a little somewhere where he can hide, he'll stop.
Okay.
And so when he got ready to take off again, I could throw that stick and make that stick meet him based on his little speed, whatever
Wow.
speed he had, and hit him. And most time it killed him on the spot
Wow. You you know
because
what?
that tap stick,
Uh-huh. That
that
reminds
tap.
that
Go
that
ahead.
that reminds me of David when he's out watching the sheep and
That's right.
he's using his
That's
sling.
right.
Okay.
He had a slingshot
Uh-huh.
and with a piece of leather on the end of it,
Uh-huh.
but he put a rock in his.
Uh-huh.
So he'd sling it and sling it. Then he'd turn loose one end of it and
Uh-huh.
the rock go. And that's how he killed Goliath.
Did,
But the tap
uh-huh.
on the stick
Uh-huh.
stayed on it. And I could pick it up and use it again and
Wow.
again and again.
Okay. So now when I walk out in the wilderness in the desert out here in the Antelope Valley, I might see a jackrabbit far and few in between. It's because
That's correct.
usually when I'm out there, they know not to make themselves seen. And then when
That's
they do,
correct.
it's so quick, it's like it's no way to predict it. So I'm trying to figure, were they just in abundance where you were? How was it that you
Yes.
were able to
Yes.
predict?
Now remember, there's a big difference between jackrabbits and bunny rabbits.
Oh, okay. Okay.
See, those rabbits, those cottontail rabbits that we would kill would be little fellows.
Mm-hmm.
And the jackrabbit, them guys, they stand up there about 18
Yeah.
to 20 inches
Okay.
with the big ears way up there.
Yeah. And
But
fast.
yeah,
Okay.
so they were in abundance, particularly out in the cotton fields and cornfields and stuff like that. And that's
Mm-hmm.
where they would get their little pickings from.
Uh-huh.
So you run up on them and you could you could catch. In fact, there were some guys I never will forget it. There's a Cook family.
Uh-huh.
Willie's Cook, a good friend of mine. Them
Uh-huh.
guys could outrun a rabbit,
Wow.
just flat outrun a rabbit to catch him and pick him up. And in
Mm-hmm.
fact, if the rabbit didn't have no fat on him, they throw him back,
Mm-hmm.
let him go. No, don't kill him. Let him grow a little bit.
Was that good eating? Rabbit?
That was good eating. That was, in fact, a good friend of mine, uh, and she wants, by the way, she wants a copy of this. She wants to see this.
Uh-huh.
But she lives in Jackson, Mississippi right now. So I was
Okay.
talking to her this morning, and I was saying that I was going to be on with you.
Uh-huh.
And I asked her that she ever had a rabbit. She said, she called me hon all the time. And we're very close back.
Uh-huh.
We've known each other for about 35, 40 years.
Yeah.
And and she says, I'm 80 years old. You're only 12 years older than me.
Uh-huh.
Yes, I ate rabbit more times than I can count.
Uh-huh.
Rabbit and rabbit gravy and rice.
Okay.
So it's some good eating.
Yes.
It was some good eating.
So
So
how often?
if you didn't have a gun,
Uh-huh.
you didn't have nothing else to do but use a tap stick or something like that.
So how often would you catch a rabbit?
Oh, good question. I would say I'd get over a rabbit or two a week,
Okay. Okay.
but you have to know when the mating time is, because you
Uh-huh.
didn't want to get rabbits that are pregnant rabbits.
Ah, okay. I see.
And that was I forgot the season of the year, but usually in the winter, the
Uh-huh.
rabbits did not. I think the mating time was usually in the summer and that. But
Uh-huh.
we'd eat rabbit all the winter.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
That-
Rabbit gravy, and some rice, shucks,
Uh-huh.
and some buttermilk.
Uh-huh.
You don't know what buttermilk is, do you?
Vaguely. Just,
Well, all right, I can tell you quickly what a buttermilk is.
Okay.
Buttermilk is when you milk the cow,
Uh-huh.
you put the milk in a churn, and
Mm-hmm.
you let the milk sit until it turns. We call it turn.
Mm-hmm.
Or when all the cream comes to the top.
I
And
see.
when it did, then you take the churn with a dasher in it and you churn it until that butter coagulate and you take the butter off and what's left is buttermilk.
Ah, makes sense.
Lord, is it good.
Huh.
You get
So,
some buttermilk,
uh-huh.
some cornbread. Oh, oh, it make you holler, man, when you get ready to eat.
So what's the difference between milk and buttermilk? Do do
Well,
you uh-huh. Go ahead.
buttermilk is the milk that you churn.
Okay.
The other milk is what we call, in my day, we call it sweetened milk, where
Uh-huh.
it's the milk that you just milk from the cow and you don't let it turn.
I
And of course,
see.
we didn't have a refrigerator, so
Mm-hmm.
we would keep the milk. When we had a well, and we could
Mm-hmm.
take that milk, put it in a smaller bucket, and let it down in the well, and it would keep cool all the way to the next day. And that's the way we kept our sweetened milk, so
Uh-huh.
that it didn't turn. It didn't get warm enough to turn to get the butter to come to the top.
Okay.
And then
So,
the rest of it,
uh-huh.
the milk, the sweetened milk, we would sell that to
Uh-huh.
what they call the cheese factory that was in
Uh-huh.
the town next to us. So the guy would come by and pick up your 5 gallon of milk and give you your money, whatever mom and them sold it for. Then
Mm-hmm.
they take the milk to the cheese factory, and that's what they made cheese out of.
Mm. Okay. All right. So, Bishop, you didn't start sharecropping until you were on the Macaulay plantation, am I right?
No, no, we uh, well really didn't do that much. No, you're right. Absolutely not that much sharecropping because we just wasn't enough of us to raise no. But we did have some sharecropping that my stepdaddy or my did,
Uh-huh.
and you'd raise a couple of acres of cotton.
Mm-hmm.
But main thing was Mama would cook in the kitchen, and my daddy did some work around the barnyard and that kind of stuff that he would attend to.
Okay.
But only when we really went to the Macaulay plantation is when the sharecropping really started. And then by the time 2 or 3 years into that, when he got my daddy and put him in the army, and then
Uh-huh.
kicked us off the plantation, then that's when we went to the third guy, and
Uh-huh.
that's when we really did some sharecropping.
Sharecropping. So let's talk about what led to you guys leaving the Macaulay plantation. You said that Dr. Macaulay had a hand in making sure that your father was drafted in World War II. Tell us a little bit about that.
Okay, the white the big white folks, the doctors and the lawyers in our
Mm-hmm.
town made up what they call a draft board,
Mm-hmm.
and they were the one who decided what black people what white people were going to actually go into the war. Now, when my daddy went in, the black people really didn't do any fighting. They cared for the cavalry, horses, and all the other stuff. But the
Hmm.
black people in that time, not many of them got a chance to get the chance to fight. So that
Hmm.
that's what they did basically.
Uh-huh.
They were the quartermaster. They took care of clothing and all
Uh-huh.
that kind of stuff. They ran uh, uh, the place where they did the washing of the clothes and that kind of stuff.
Uh-huh.
And so when my daddy was in there, I think he was in just about 2 years. And when we moved to the third plantation, uh, to Mr. Rivers Burke. Is that what you want
Uh-huh.
me to share at this point? The third
Um,
plantation?
there's one other story I want you to share about the Macaulay plantation, and it had to do with the actually is a couple. Um, one had to do with the little Tonka truck.
Uh-huh.
So what
Okay.
happened with the little truck?
Okay. My daddy would take me up with him to help clean the yard and stuff I was a little boy, but he
Uh-huh.
made sure I helped. I knew I had to going to end up working for the white folks, so you might as well learn early, you
Uh-huh.
know. And so Dr. Macaulay's son was named Deaton Macaulay, and he
Uh-huh.
had a son that was about my age.
Hmm.
So little Deaton had all kind of toy trucks and little toy tractors, and
Hmm.
I was interested in one of them, and I saw this little Tonka truck, and I took it, and sneaked it, and got it home. And right up the road from us, below the white folks cemetery, was a junkyard. That's
Uh-huh.
where the people dumped all their trash. They
Yeah.
didn't even cover it up. They just
Uh-huh.
dumped it right up, not too far from my house. So
Hmm.
Mama came out, saw the little truck, and I was playing with my truck, loading it up with dirt, and man, having a big time,
Uh-huh.
making noises with my mouth like I'm driving my little truck. And she said, "Son, where'd you get that?" I was at the junkyard right up there. They
Uh-huh.
dumped it.
Uh-huh.
And she said, she never said that. She went on back in the house. And I said, okay, we good. Wasn't too long before Mama came back out of the house. And she said, Henry, where did you get that truck? Because she saw it was looking new. It didn't look like it been to the junk pile. And I dropped my head. Then she knew that I stole it out of the little white boy's yard. Mama got her a switch off a nearby elm tree and put me in the front of her with the truck in my hand and took me to the back door at Mr. Deaton McCauley's door and knocked on the door and said, "My son stole your son's truck." He said, "Oh, that's all right." She said, "No, I want him. I don't want him to have it. I want him to bring it and turn it into you and ask you all to forgive him for stealing that truck." And so he called his little son out. He said, "No, Henry can have it. Henry can have it." And Mama said, "No, sir, he cannot have it because he stole it." He said, "I give it to him. I give it to him," with that southern drawl. And the
Uh-huh.
little wife, I give it to him. I give it to him. She
Hmm.
said, "No, sir, he cannot have it." She would not let me have it, and said, made me apologize to them. And
Hmm.
then when I got home, she had a piece of my hide and said, "Son, if they hadn't been nice, you could have been hanged for that. You could have been killed for that.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
don't never take nothing." And she went on to tell me what happened if I grew up like that.
Yeah.
And I never forget that as long as I live.
Yeah. You know, Bishop, there was something about you that led to these last couple of things that I wanted to talk to you about, and it was your early fascination with everything mechanical.
Yes, sir.
Do
Yeah.
you- yeah, tell us about that.
Let's see now. I think we had moved to the we had moved to the uh, third plantation,
Mm-hmm.
and when we moved to the third plantation, there was a road, a gravel road that went past part of the plantation,
Uh-huh.
and they would send road graders along that road, and the road scraper would come through every so often. And one
Uh-huh.
day, Mama said, "Henry, yes, ma'am. I want you to go home and make a fire in the stove for me so that the stove will be hot by the time I get there." And we used
Uh-huh.
a wood stove. We She cooked on a wood stove.
Mm-hmm.
And when I got on the road to go home, here come one of these road graders.
Uh-huh.
And I got to watching that road grader, and I heard the guy stirring the big wheel, sitting up on top of it.
Uh-huh.
And I said, Lord, if I could ever get grown, I'd sure like to drive one of those things and
Mm-hmm.
help grade the road and so forth. And I fooled around and forgot that I was supposed to go home and make that fire in the kitchen stove. Not knowing
Mm-hmm.
anything, Mama had come up from behind me and got my little shirt tail, like the one you just saw, by the
Mm-hmm.
shirt tail. And I said, Lord, how much I forgot about making the fire in the stove. And I took off running, and Mama fell and was holding on to my shirt, and I
Mm-hmm.
was dragging my little mama. And
Mm.
so I stopped, put that shirt off, just took them buttons off, and just dropped it and gave Mama the shirt. And I took off running to the house and tried to get the stove lit before she got there, and but didn't quite make it.
Uh-huh.
Mom, and then when Mama got home, he says, "All right, you might want to drop it because I'm gonna whoop your hind end. You didn't do what I told you." I said, "Mama, shut up." Made me shut up, and she ran under the house on trying to keep her from getting me. My mama, I don't know if Mama would have shot me or not, but she had a shotgun. She said,
What?
"Come on out from under there. Come on out. If you don't, I'm gonna shoot you." And so I thought Mama was gonna do that. So
Uh,
I came from out. Then Mama threw the shotgun down
uh-huh.
and pulled off one of her old shoes that she
Uh-huh.
done wore off one side of it and started beating me with that with that old beat up shoe. But anyway, after dinner that night, I had little knots all over my head and
Uh-huh.
bleeding on my body where Mama had whooped me. And
Uh-huh.
that night, after we had eaten dinner, Mama came out on the porch, and we usually would sit out on the porch and uh, and we would light up some rags, and that would run the mosquitoes away.
Uh-huh.
And so while I was sitting there, Mama got some some turpentine
Uh-huh.
and some alcohol and came and sit down. Said, "Mama didn't mean to hurt her son like that."
Uh-huh.
Said, "Do you believe Mama
Uh-huh.
love you? Mama love you so much, but we have to keep going, son. We can't let things stop us when we have something to do. We have to
Uh-huh.
go do it."
Yeah.
And she began to hug on me, and I didn't quite want her to touch me because I was
Uh-huh.
still a little upset.
Yeah.
But then she started crying because I didn't believe her. She
Yeah.
said, "Baby, you got to believe me because Mama love you more than I love life."
Yeah.
And
You
she
know, uh-huh.
and from that point on, I never forgot, and I realized the fact that Mama had to get back to the field and help get that cotton chopped and so
Yeah.
forth before it could produce like it needed to produce.
Yeah. Bishop, even though your curiosity over mechanical things got you in a lot of trouble.
It did.
Little did your mama know that that was going to be what caused you to end up with a great career in engineering.
That is correct.
But the last thing I want to share, because I think this will be the last story that you share before I let you go, and because we're going to save some for the next episode. And this is one I felt like you were going to get into a lot of serious trouble over. I want you to tell us about firing up the hot rod.
When my daddy came to the house,
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. You were still on
okay.
the transplantation at this time, right?
Yeah, we were on the Ingham McCray. Not no no. We were on the
McCollum?
Macaulay plantation at that
Okay.
time.
Okay.
Yeah, my daddy used to every chance he get, he'd run down to the house in the car because the doctor's office was downtown, maybe a couple of miles. And so that particular day he came out, and there was a little slope up to that little shack where you see me sitting on that porch
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
on the back of the book. There
Uh-huh.
was a little slope up to that, and and by the way, this is aside from that, Dr. Macaulay had three daughters,
Mm-hmm.
and they were always taking pictures of the colored people who lived on the plantation. So we looked like little. We were very light skinned kids, so they were taking pictures of us all the time, and that. So anyway, getting back, when my daddy would drive up in that red Mercury car, and he'd park it. And I said, man, I gotta see how did he do that? How did that? So I opened the door and looked in there and looked at all them gears and things. I said, man, I sure. And now I knew better to get in that car because there was a doctor's car.
Uh-huh.
I got in there and some kind of way or another, uh, uh, loosed the brakes and hit the key and it loosed itself and started backing off of that little slope
Uh-huh.
and hit the tree, and that's what stopped it.
Mm.
Uh, and it put a mark on the car. I don't know what he never did tell me what the doctor did, but
Uh-huh.
I know something happened because he couldn't drive the car back down there no more.
Mm.
And
Wow.
so uh, that that scared the yickies out of me because I knew Daddy was going to get me, and he did, and as he should have,
Right, right.
because after all, this car didn't belong to him.
Mm-hmm.
And if I didn't know what I was doing, but I just couldn't help it.
Yeah.
If you put a clock, the old tick-tock clock they put on the table, I tore
Uh-huh.
up one time trying to find out what made it tick,
Yeah.
find out how to wind it up. You couldn't get that back together. So I just couldn't keep my hands off of stuff that
Uh-huh.
was mechanical or had some movement about it.
Okay. All right. So, you know what? We're not going to talk about the Rivers Burks or the Burks River plantation on this episode, but
All right,
I did want to show some pictures and you just explain who it is and what's going on in the picture. All right.
all right.
So let's see. Let's see if I can find it. All right, here we go. So that's the clothes that your mother made, right?
To close it. Yeah.
Okay.
And when right there, in that
Uh-huh.
particular, going back to that picture, the
Oh,
one
go.
that you just showed,
Uh-huh.
I had just gotten out of a dairy barn. They had a dairy barn, and those guys, the boys that ran that dairy, would have me to come down there and help milk the cows at the
Mm-hmm.
dairy. And I had just gotten out of there and was on my way home. And that's when
Uh-huh.
they took that picture of me. Go ahead.
How old were you? Approximately?
I, I would say at this one, I probably was,
Looked like a
oh,
teenager almost, like
I was
almost.
close to teenager.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
All right. So here's the next one. This is the picture that's on the book cover.
Yeah, there's a picture on the book cover. And
Uh-huh.
this is when when Bonnie McCauley,
Uh-huh.
who was also one of the children of Dr. McCauley, took had had us to sit out on the porch, and she took pictures, and
Uh-huh.
she would show those to other, I guess, other slave owners,
Mm-hmm.
uh, uh, people who had people sharecropping their property. These are kind. I bet they were saying these are kind of the niggers that we got on. We got some niggers on our place that
Uh-huh.
uh, uh, we could take their pictures. They let us take their pictures and so forth.
Uh-huh.
And that's what was going on in that particular picture.
Okay. Which is a kind of a fortunate thing because otherwise
Yes, yes,
we,
yes,
we
yes.
wouldn't have these pictures of you.
I would not have those pictures. Man, God is something.
Uh-huh.
Oh, God is, oh man, you got me happy.
That's a clear.
God is something else.
Uh-huh.
He knew how to make it happen.
I know I have some other pictures somewhere. Hold on, hold on. All right, let me try this. Okay. What
Okay,
about this?
this is another one. Now the lady obviously is standing. That's Mama.
Okay. All right.
That that's Mama,
That's the
and
one that's the one that had your dad smitten.
that's right.
Okay.
Yeah, right. And the guy that's standing right behind Mama is my great great granddaddy.
Okay.
That's Andrew Carruthers right there.
Uh-huh. Yes.
And the little guy to the left of the baby that she's holding,
Uh-huh.
that's me.
That's you. Uh-huh.
And then on the other side are my two sisters,
Uh-huh.
because then later on there was going to be one more kid born, and the one that she's holding now, that's Douglas,
Uh-huh.
and of course, all four of my siblings are gone.
Oh, okay.
All four of them are gone. But
Okay.
that's Grandpa, great great Grandpa, Mama,
Mm-hmm.
Doug,
Mm-hmm.
me, and Laura and Berta.
And do you know where this took place?
Yes, right in front of that same place.
Uh-huh.
Mama, she had a little red wagon
Uh-huh.
in the front. And
Yes.
so the white people bought that little wagon for me and at Christmas time.
Mm-hmm.
So so Mama and Mama had a good relationship with all of the white folks that she ever worked with. And they would buy a little stuff for us for Christmas so that we could
Mm-hmm.
have a Santa Claus to come see us too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's great. Well, do you know who took the
And
picture?
yeah, that one, either Bunny McCauley or Jean. There were two sisters. One is
Okay.
Bunny, and the other one was Jean. But it
Uh-huh.
was one of them because they were always taking pictures.
Uh-huh. How was it that you got hold of these pictures?
Now that's another story. How, how did I get them? I guess they just gave them to us.
Hmm. Okay.
They gave us copies of them and
Uh-huh.
let us know that this is pictures of you guys.
Okay. What's happening here?
Okay, this now is when uh, we started a singing group,
Okay.
my two sisters and me and Doug.
Uh-huh.
I think he was in this one.
Uh-huh.
And we were at the New Zion Baptist Church, and we were teenagers then. Let's see, where were we living? We were living, I believe, I think might have been living on our own property.
Mm-hmm.
I think I think we were. It was New Zion Baptist Church. I think it was New Zion Baptist Church. No, we were living on Mr. Rivers Burke plantation, and
Mm-hmm.
you told me you want to talk about that later.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
that's what was happening in there, and we were at the church and in our singing group.
Okay. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to take it down.
No
Uh,
problem.
I was trying to, okay, let me bring it back up. I think there's another picture after that I want to share too.
Okay.
All right, so here we go. Oh, yeah, okay. I guess that just takes us back. Okay. Okay. So that's all that I have for this one.
All
So,
right.
so I'm going to go ahead and close us out, Bishop. And I'm definitely looking forward to the next episode. But just for my audience, I want to tell them this brings us to the end of the of this episode of Community Fathers video series. And if today's conversation encouraged you or challenged you or reminded you of what's possible, then the mission is working. We believe that every man has the capacity to lead, to grow, and to influence a generation. And sometimes all it takes is hearing from someone who's been there. And that's what's happening with this conversation that we're having with Bishop Henry Hearns. As we go through the book, How Odds Even Through Grace. We just hope that I hope that you find enough interest to join us on the next episode as we continue. Eventually, we want to share the whole book, and I appreciate Bishop Hearns for giving his time, his voice, and his story to us to share. So thank you, Bishop.
And they can uh, get that book
Uh-huh.
through
We're
my website,
okay. We
bishophenryhearns.com.
uh-huh.
Bishophenryhearns.com is my
Okay.
website.
Okay. So bishophenryhearns.com. If you want to buy the book, How Odds Even Through Grace. And like I said, share this video with your friends because I believe that Bishop's story will be an inspiration to many. So until next time, Bishop, thank you very much.
Well, I thank you so much for having me, and I love telling my story. And I sometimes you have to slow me down and stop me
Uh-huh.
because I love telling the story because I know what God can do.
Yes.
All we need to do is to trust Him,
All
and if
right.
we trust Him, He'll take us on.
All right. And this is only the beginning. So we'll see you next time. Thank you, everyone.
Bye bye.